Hello and welcome to Campaign Comrades. I'm going to do something unorthodox today. We're going to have a moment of silence for the New York Knicks. We are not normally a sports ball podcast,
I'm leaving.
But just respect the Knicks and how far they came. And
I saw some people posting about it last night, and saluting to their fellow brothers in arms, fellow Knicks fans, and like another person replied was like, "I'm stoked to do this once again in 25 years."
Yeah, I'm
Keep
just
pushing.
gonna a few
You're
things.
going to have a live on podcast suicide.
Yeah.
Just letting you know, my Wi-Fi looks like it might be weird again. I'm hoping, knock on wood, we don't have issues.
That would not be good today of all days.
Yeah. I had to shut the game off because it was like I was watching me play UK against Andrew and was just like getting down and was scrambling to like try to come back and just, playing sloppy basketball. But all right, so we are not talking about the Knicks. We are not talking about sports ball. We are talking about free
Using
running.
the term sports ball. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That
It's
might make
ironic.
me kill myself on podcast more easily.
I'm saying it ironically, though.
Doesn't even matter.
We are here to talk about Assassins. We are talking about Assassin's Creed, the Ubisoft franchise, the weird, annoying at times. I was just playing Mirage, and I'm actually very down on the franchise as we open this podcast. I'm upset that I played any.
You say good. You say come to the dark side.
I'm ready to rip it apart.
Previous like diehard fans who are ready to take it out back and shoot it.
Yeah,
You're supposed to just play Ghost of Tsushima, which is just better Assassin's Creed.
As soon as Black Flag remake comes out, I'm gonna be putting the cowl back on.
Yeah, it did come out. We've gone over this. Skull and Bones is Black Flag. It's quadruple A.
Quadruple A.
Yeah. No, Ben, you say that until you start doing the the platforming, like the free running, and realize that it's still so fucking janky and like probably was better at the PS3 versions than I was ready to throw my controller.
I generally agree, although I didn't think Mirage I thought Mirage was okay. That's the most recent one that I've played.
Like,
it's
worse than
Odyssey.
Odyssey, actually. It's worse than Odyssey, in my opinion. Like, you don't even vault over things if you're like running straight at them, and like you have to hit X. And even I have so many issues, but we're not at that point. We'll start at the beginning. We'll start at our high school. Putting the cowl
earlier.
On. Was it?
This is middle school.
Original was 2007.
Freshman
no,
year.
we were just entering entering high school. We're aging ourselves.
Yeah, we're giving away crucial information that can give away our ideas.
Right.
Early winters, November 2007.
Yeah, so right as freshmen, walking into those hallowed halls of our high school.
Definitely still had asbestos at that time.
Still does.
They still do.
Yeah. They all did.
No, I remember there was
a government conspiracy.
I remember there was a summer where they were doing asbestos removal.
Sure, but there's still
Somewhere.
asbestos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was just the asbestos that had been disturbed and had.
Let's be honest. Asbestos is only bad for you when it's been disturbed. If you leave it alone.
Exactly.
If you leave it alone, it's fireproof. It's fireproof.
I miss the days of asbestos cigarette filters.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, we were spraying that on cars. Okay, so yeah, the Ezio collection. That was the introduction to, Assassins.
Excuse me, put some respect on Altair's name, the progenitor of them all. What are you talking about?
You're right.
What are you talking about?
I'm dumb.
This is your episode. What the fuck?
I know, but I'm playing as Basim. I'm very angry at Assassin's Creed.
He's using ChatGPT to figure out the history of Assassin's Creed, and it's hallucinating.
It's giving me the movie, not the video games. It's telling me about fucking...
Folks, go back into the backlog and check out our Assassin's Creed movie episode with Michael Fassbender.
If we had prepared, we'd know the episode number.
Baffling film.
But you're right. It was not Ezio. Ezio is the second set of games, correct?
It starts with 2.
Assassin's Creed is Altair, and then there is the Ezio Auditore de Firenze trilogy of games, 2 Brotherhood and Revelations.
My favorite Assassin's Creed is Assassino Cappuccino.
You had to get that one. It's
after 11 a.m., so right now you're doing an Italian hate crime by, being a cappuccino after 11 a.m. They're not supposed to exist after 11 a.m.
I'm pretty sure the Italians just woke up.
Nah. They start their day. They just start work at 10 a.m.
The Italians aren't the Spanish. Do not get them
yes, please.
intermixed.
Italians,
the Italians,
Spaniards.
The Italians are hard at work sexually harassing their coworkers right now. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
No, they're
get your stereo.
I saw a short yesterday that was like
they're doing it in church because it is Sunday. Yeah,
it's Sunday. It's Sunday.
A day in the life of an Italian boyfriend, and the entire time is him just getting beat by his girlfriend with a rolling pin for catcalling women.
All right, but yes, sorry, we got off track, and
I
lost my train of thought.
Bring us back to the beginning.
Yeah, sorry.
It all started in 1993.
Apologize. I'm sorry. I'm really upset. I was getting last night and this morning playing Mirage really, really fucked up my brain and really pissed me off of how shitty it is. Okay. But yeah, so we start with Altair. He is, the antagonists are the Knights Templar, which high school Mike obsessed with the Knights Templar. This is the time we have the Da Vinci Code coming out. Mike has read that. Mike has also read Holy Blood, Holy Grail, which is the non-fiction, I'm doing air quotes, like someone's
Is that what Dan Brown based it off of?
Correct. Junior year of high school, Mike wrote a paper on Holy Blood, Holy Grail, but obsessed with Freemasons, the Templars.
I remember there was a time in high school, Mike tried to get me to join the Masons with him.
Correct. Andrew's grandfather or someone is a Mason.
Yeah, he is.
So we had one rec ready to go.
We used to do Boy Scout meetings in the Freemason Temple.
Okay. So were you touched?
We keep bringing this up, and the answer has always been no.
You keep bringing up the Boy Scouts.
You were talking about the Freemasons. I was giving you a touchstone. I've been in that temple. I've looked around. There's nothing in there of value.
I've been in there too. You could rent it out for
you guys didn't see the replica of Mary Magdalene's wrist? It was right there in the middle.
There's a group of kids in a year or two above us who used to rent that place out and basically have foam sex parties in it.
Yeah,
for underage high schoolers. For underage high schoolers.
Sex parties. Yeah, there's nothing special about those buildings. It's just a fucking hall. It's like the Elks Club.
Yeah, Rico's band rented it out for a concert.
Yeah, plenty of people did. My mom's 40th birthday was
the
that
Masons,
one.
They have no morals. That's why they let kids fornicate on their premises.
I'm pretty sure that they're just hyper-religious.
You're missing the key.
They acknowledge that without that, you would get the generation of today, which is kids too afraid to even talk to the other gender, and that's why the birth rate is cratering.
So what you're hearing is an endorsement from this podcast, and that is teenage pregnancy. Bring it back.
Return to tradition. Come on.
Hey, how else are you going to fill those orphanages?
And then the mines.
This is called the economy, folks.
Option agencies need children to stay in power.
This is going to be an off the rails podcast.
Of course.
It's your job to rein us in, because if you don't, I'm just going to keep going.
It's Rift City, baby.
Yeah,
my brain has melted ever since last night, and there's no morals left in my soul.
Yeah. The zeitgeist at this time, like, it wasn't just me obsessed with, like, the Knights Templar and fucking Freemasons and stuff. And, like, I've already mentioned, like, Da Vinci Code. I don't know what...
It was peak Reddit atheism.
Yeah.
The Da Vinci Code
Reddit atheism was a couple years after.
Was a huge thing. I mean...
Like, the 2010 to 2014 Reddit atheism scale was when it was at its absolute max.
The Christopher Hitchens era is, like, us early high school era.
Yeah, and like the big wave of atheism is like the new millennium.
It doesn't exist
like
anymore.
the start of it.
Gen Z is one of the most religious of the past 20 years.
Well, they're returning to tradition.
It's
they're all becoming
purely
trad wives.
For aesthetics, but it's not for actual
spirituality,
spiritual or moral beliefs,
community. But
that would require them to care about something, and that would be cringe.
So yeah, I don't know. There's just like this obsession, and
do you think part of it also is like the post 9/11 patriotism, being tied to the Crusades in a way?
But I was going to bring it up. What's interesting about the success of Assassin's Creed is that you are playing as like a Muslim character, the original one. You're playing as a Muslim character in a predominantly Muslim organization as it's framed in that setting, fighting against, the depravity of Christendom run amok. So
but this was built through the eyes of the French, so it can't take any of it seriously.
That's true. But the French are notoriously Islamophobic,
almost worse than us, arguably.
And
you could take away almost.
So
I think per capita they're way worse.
It is surprising. 2000. Don't forget, this comes out in 2007. That means it started production beforehand. We are not fully in the...
Yeah, but this is early 2000s production. They probably started in like 2006, and they're like, it'd be a cool idea. Boom, we made a game.
True.
Nowadays, it would have been started in 2017. It wouldn't release till 2026. It would be buggy.
Yeah, the span between production and release was not as big, for sure. But we're talking at least starting in 2006, 2005. So, we're not that far removed. They're not that far removed at the concept point, and we're not fully in the Obungler hope and change era yet.
Not at all.
But wherever
Obungler, we're almost a year and a half away.
Wokeness hasn't gone wild yet. Hasn't broken containment.
Hasn't run amok.
So it is really surprising to take that perspective and central, kind of character perspective in that kind of political climate. To make the Christians the enemies.
I'm gonna say something.
It's pretty bold. I like it.
I do remember being
in Assassin's Creed 2, you fight the Pope.
Yeah, I do remember being surprised that the Knights of Templar were the bad guys when I started playing the game. I was like,
but like Mike was saying, this is the peak of like the Dan Brown era, Angels and Demons, Da Vinci Code.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what there's 3. I don't think it had actually come out at that point because Inferno.
No.
Mike's phasing out of reality.
Am I getting glitchy?
Just a little fuzzy, but it's all right. We can hear you.
You're operating at 12p, right? And now it's not even moving.
I will note while Mike checks if his internet is still working in any capacity, the game is officially development in January 2004. So the very beginning of Bush term 2.
Perfect Ubisoft. That was probably a really long development time back then. So they were pioneering long development even before.
Breaking ground, adding value.
Is this specifically because the French require 7 different wine breaks throughout the day and croissant?
I do love the Kroll show, the weird European cannibal guy.
Coffee and a cigarette.
Go to work for 1 to 2 half hour. Have lunch break with like a cigarette and a bar of chocolate and maybe a bowl of heavy cream.
So if I'm not too fuzzy and I could come back.
No, you're good now. You've come back.
Yeah, you've come back and you're moving and not slideshow.
I think it's important to note that we're talking about Christendom, but back, the Knights Templar at this point there's only one: Christianity, Catholicism, small c at that point. But now it is a Catholic. It is a Catholic thing, and we as a country are anti-Catholic. We don't
stand for the filthy papists.
So
we do now because American Pope.
I think that needs to be kept in mind a little bit. And I also feel like you are an assassin, you are like this vigilante character, so you're not like a full protagonist.
Well, that's an interesting valence point, right? Is, the reactionaries love vigilante justice. They love taking the law into your own hands.
Exactly. And like
purging the corrupt.
And they weren't, as far as I remember, at least with like the main character, they're not in your face like, hey, this is an Arab. This is a Muslim.
He is pretty, you know,
he's pretty Persian.
He's pretty light-skinned and, you know, voiced by...
Yeah.
He doesn't have many voice lines.
Right.
And it's either English or British. The only guy who's obviously Muslim and Arabic in the Brotherhood that you have much interactions with is like the mentor of that era, the superior who turns out to be like evil himself.
Yeah.
So they still have to make the obviously, you know,
dark
Arab, you know,
guy.
devout Muslim guy to be actually just as evil as the pillage.
And
the main character is just like Turkish coded at best.
And also I would say like primary interaction with the main character as like a face and not just shrouded figure is Desmond, who is very British, named Desmond. Yeah, like it's not...
I mean, he is not British. He's
not British?
American.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Americans not just British?
I would say that he's pretty like, Turkish or maybe Albanian coded.
He's got a
Portuguese.
Tan.
He's got some he's got like, you know, he's got the curls. He's just dark enough.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. He's Mediterranean.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Might be Spanish,
but he's non-threatening.
He's definitely
non-threatening.
Portuguese, which is the Albanian of.
We don't stand for those peninsular types. Get them out of here.
Get him out. Albania is not a peninsula, though.
No, the Portuguese. Someone said Portuguese.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I think those are a lot of like important small nuances to note that like overcomes like that American Islamophobia. Like the French did a good job of hiding it, and again, it's because it's the French. They're worse Islamophobes than us, you know, historically at this time, currently, etc. You know, so I had never really thought about it prior to this pod, like its place in time and like its content, how it stands in that place in time. Because I didn't care. I was just obsessed with the fucking Knights Templar and like Illuminati, Freemason, you know, conspiracy type shit. That was my high school arc. But yeah, I think also for me at this point, a lot of my playing of the first Assassin's Creed was at Ben's or was like at other people's houses, like playing.
Well, I was going to say
version.
A majority of my exposure was in the attic at Ben's house when Ben would just be enraptured and playing.
It was like one of the first games I would, because I didn't have a console until the PS2 era, which I've said, and like there were games series on it like Ratchet and Clank that like became like my first like real, I became the first kind of real franchise devotee. Everything else though on the PS2 besides Ratchet and Clank was largely like tie-in things and one-offs
Star
and
Wars,
stuff,
Harry Potter
and stuff like that. Whereas my next kind of real franchise touchstone was in obviously the PS3 era was Assassin's Creed. I was like
that
obsessed.
and Uncharted for you.
But I didn't get into Uncharted until Uncharted 2. So I was at Assassin's Creed from the jump, and it was, you know, you look back on it now and it's like not really open world in that first game, but it like kind of is, and it gives the illusion that it is, because even it's like more
proto open world.
Yeah, because it's like it would have like these like condensed kind of levels, and then
it's open zone. They pioneered open zone.
But you would travel, and what made you feel like was like a real time kind of thing. They were just again corridors that you're riding your horse through these pathways to go from zone to zone. But it was like this. It was immersive in the sense of its gameplay world, and like that blew my mind at the time. But then also I was obsessed, similarly with Mike, I didn't have an attachment to the Templars, but I loved the whole secret society, greater truths, conspiracy theory type thinking.
If this era Ben was like 6 years later, he would have been so far down so many conspiracy rabbit holes, and
both of us.
But the bit that I actually liked the most of these original games, as much as I liked the assassin story itself, as much as I even liked the Desmond bits in the original games, except where it's not just a walking simulator, like the mystery aspect of it. I loved the ancients. I loved the precursors, all the things with the pieces of Eden and the
precursors are from Jack and Daxter, though.
The deities, like, learning about them, and finding out that they're aliens. And it was one of my first experiences of becoming a lore head. It really just it just grabbed me in all these different ways, and didn't lose its grip on me until AC Unity, when I only stopped because I couldn't play the game. It was so broken. I could not play the game, and I didn't pick it up again until I played Mirage.
The only distinct thing I remember lore-wise was something about like the Apple of Eden in one of the games I was watching you play.
It's one of the devices, one of the original pieces of Eden. That's like the MacGuffin of the first game. That's what they're after in the movie. The orb is the Apple of Eden.
We're not going to bring up the movie anymore.
No, the movie is canon.
Algorithm. I know the movie's
Michael
canon.
Fassbender is my
That's
assassin.
his name. I couldn't think of his name.
Michael Fassbender.
But yeah,
how could you not remember Michael?
It is funny that
I was trying to say Ewan McGregor for some reason.
Fair enough. It is funny that in the 2010s they whitewash him even more so than they did back in 2007.
No, he's not playing Altair though. He's playing a Spaniard.
True.
So he's
although the Muslims were in Spain at that era.
Yeah. But so we've been talking about period 1 of Assassin's Creed, and we've mentioned some of period 2. I want to stick to in period 1 a little bit longer to point out some of Ben's favorite, Black Flag, and a
terrible assassin game, but a fantastic fucking game.
Yeah, so
that game was just a precursor to Ben's love of One Piece.
Oh yeah,
maybe. So I played bits and pieces. I enjoyed the lore. I liked watching Ben and other friends play
This was the perfect era for watching your friends play a story video game. Not this new cursed era of watching some random person you'll never actually meet via Twitch.
Yeah. So my like big entry point was Revelations. And one of the reasons I want to bring that up is the evolution of like the game mechanics that they start introducing. They may have had some in Brotherhood, but Revelations is the grapple hook, which is a big change to the gameplay. And I brought up some of the more recent gameplay in Mirage and how shitty it was. And it may just be my hindsight, memory, nostalgia, but I
almost
truly
100%.
believe the grappling hook era was the best Assassin's Creed movement platforming. But in this period 1, towards starting with Revelations and continuing on, they start adding different gameplay mechanics to try to add some spice to the sauce. So you're not just doing the
As an Italian, aren't you supposed to refer to it as gravy?
No, I'm not a New Jersey Italian. How dare you ever say that in this chat? And block.
Did you guys see I don't know, he's not as like famous as like the Rizzler or Big Justice or whatever, but there was this other insanely Brooklyn, portly Italian kid who has some type of following, and he put the debate to bed. Say gravy is brown and goes on meat.
Correct. That's correct.
It's not your Nona's sauce.
Yeah. It's only New Jersey Italian Americans that call it fucking gravy, and then some, people that
they also know that the proper name for the red-hatted plumber from Nintendo is Mario.
No. The New Jersey Italians, we should
proper pronunciation will be however they pronounce it in Japanese. Let's be real.
Yeah, correct.
Mario-kun.
Yeah, Mario.
I'm going to get this podcast canceled this episode.
It's off the rails. But yeah, so let's go to Black Flag, because that, so in Revelations...
Really?
Revelations is 3, right?
I'm surprised Revelations is the 3rd of the Ezio trilogy. Assassin's Creed 3
fucking numbering and naming system.
Assassin's Creed, well, they only did that because the series truly blew up with AC2. Ezio is like their so Mike is somewhat excused for forgetting about Altair, because Ezio truly is the face of the franchise even to today. in people's cultural memory.
No, I'm pretty sure it's
He's
the
had the most
Viking
games
from Valhalla or Yusuke from Shadows.
I mean, you may have a point there. Yeah, no, AC3 is American Civil War. Or technically, I guess it's no, it's not Civil War.
It's
sorry.
Revolutionary.
It's French and Indian War, and and it leads into the American Revolution. You're right. Sorry, I misspoke.
Yeah, so in that one you have a hatchet, right, instead of like a dagger,
which is fucking sweet because the hatchet is formed in the symbol of is the assassin symbol. It's dope. It's so cool. I loved it.
And you can scalp people, right? That's
racist.
You do. It is a thing you do.
Starting in Revelations, not only did they have the grappling hook, but they had like a tower defense like gameplay mechanic where like you had to guard the assassin like hideout, and like different like artillery type stuff would come in, and like you were commanding other assassins that had, you had trained or whatever.
That tracks a little bit because I don't quite remember that whole bit, but the parts of those elements start in Brotherhood, the one before, where you like are collecting out, you like save and recruit these like NPCs who become allies. Who in Brotherhood, I remember you could be like going down the road and there are guards or whatever, and you can tag them, and then they'll just drop down and do an air assassination for you.
So it was building off
come in combat, and so yeah, that tracks. I don't exactly remember the specifics of Revelations. All I remember in Revelations is using the grappling hook on the zip line.
Yeah. But
that's really what I remember the most.
There may have even been a point where like your like ships are coming in, or it just may have been similar mechanics to what then they use in Black Flag for the ship battles that, in these Revelations like tower defense mechanics. But like there's bits and pieces throughout these games where like they introduce a ton of different mechanics. Like I had almost completely forgotten about the like recruit and having them drop in and like fucking do attacks for you, because as we'll get into period 2, that doesn't exist in period 2. And there's none of the like Brotherhood gather these NPC aspects to it. Really they gut a lot of the different mechanics that they like slowly introduced and build on in period 1 when they get to period 2. But I'm curious, Ben, because I never played Black Flag, to just like hear about some of the mechanics and how you felt about them in that game.
I loved Black Flag for the naval stuff. It was so novel to me at that time. It's like stopped being a assassin game to me because it was really its primary departure from stealth. You're a fucking pirate, it's you have a hidden blade and you do some stealthing.
There's nothing more stealthy than a blunderbuss.
So the gameplay when you're on land, the game felt very Uncharted to like it was more just an action adventure versus like a stealth action game, like it previously had been. While I maybe I don't remember at the time feeling that I was missing the stealth, because I liked stealth, but stealth can sometimes get boring and can sometimes get stale and feel like it's just taking a lot of time depending on the tool set that you're given. I always feel like you were given more tools in the original and the Ezio games. Social stealth was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
All those things. The missions had more variety to them, whereas this was a true open world. But story missions were really just action based. There's really action discovery. You're searching for treasure. You're a fucking pirate. But the ship combat was fucking awesome because you could customize your ship with different armaments. I was a big fan of mortars.
Which is why Skull and Bones is the modern Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Oh.
The L is silent sometimes. It's okay. It's okay.
We're talking about the French here. They're talking about cigarettes.
Whew.
I really like
the start of Pride Month too. This is June 1st, the first day of Pride, man. Come on.
I thought President Trump had canceled Pride Month.
We're all in states where even if he canceled it, the state government is
really gonna do it. What was I thinking? There was also like these cool kind of mini games that you could do. As much as I abhor the practice, in reality, it was fun to go whaling.
Amazing.
But like,
Yeah,
whaling is a
some
basic
mini-games.
traditionalist hobby, and we need to return to men getting on a boat. Not like a modern boat. It needs to be a rickety old ship, and then harpooning whales, and then spending your entire life going about chasing that singular purpose and goal.
It's interesting, we were talking about Black Flag, but the mini games made me think of this. Period 2, you could really see this, but the influence of The Witcher on these games, particularly, it's not Ghent, but in Revelations
my
was
God.
like
I'm about to pull out a gun and shoot you through the screen. It's Gwent, you fucking
Gwent, whatever.
imbecile, uncultured swine. Jesus Christ.
The W is silent sometimes, just like
It's
that.
not.
Listen, I'm dyslexic and neurodivergent. Cut me some slack.
No, you're going to the labor camp.
I was going to say, President Trump also made those illegal.
But there was mini games like card games and dice game type things, in Revelations, and I'm sure in other ones. And they have
your sense of time is so interesting to me. You're like, oh, how was it influenced by The Witcher, which The Witcher 3 came out way after this era of game.
But not The Witcher 1 and 2.
Yeah, but Gwent was a thing in Witcher 3.
I thought it was all throughout. No. That's why.
Witcher 1 and 2 are Witcher 1 and 2
Witcher 3, May 19th, 2015.
Are drastically different games.
Okay. Never mind.
They were playable.
I thought they had Gwent in 1 and 2.
No.
Okay. And never mind on that. But I do have points about period 2 and Witcher 3, but that's for later.
I think I want to jump in there because for me, my Assassin's Creed journey is a little bit different from I think the most of you. Although Matt, I'm not sure how much you've played, but mine was like this was the first one came out when it was still like games weren't a thing my parents were gonna buy for me. So it was a white whale, tie back to the whaling of my own little kind of gaming.
Was the first one rated M or was it? It wasn't teen.
But had you played Call of Duty?
I'm pretty sure they were all
because I feel like my parents wouldn't have been very on board with that.
I'm nearly certain they're all
Assassin's Creed 1 rated 18 plus. Peggy 18.
My mom, who again would not let me have video games until I was like 14 or whatever. Her staunch, anti-gaming for so much of my youth just completely fell off a cliff then, apparently.
No, Mom, you don't understand. It stands for
Mom approved.
Yeah, Mom approved.
Yeah, but at that point, your sister is a senior in high school.
I'm like, Mom, this is teaching me
in the attic.
This is teaching me history. This is teaching me history, and you say 2 years away. More like 6 months.
Yeah, you're right.
But I also didn't have a PS3 when this came out, and this was a PS3.
Xbox 360.
Yeah. So I did the same thing. I definitely have watched Ben play this game, like played, took turns playing through levels, things like that. Really enjoyed them, but didn't get my hands on one until AC3, the Connor version, the Connor one.
Which is one of the, I'm a defender of AC3, but I'll still admit it's the weakest of at least the original numbered of the first 4, numbered ones.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the standard thought. I played that and then I played Black Flag, and I disagree with you in that I like AC3 better than Black Flag. I did not enjoy the ship combat.
That's a wild take.
I know. I didn't like the ship combat.
Ben always enjoys ship-based games more than any of us. Like, I feel like
it's more of the tactical.
It's a precursor to Ben's future hobby of model train and ship in a bottle building.
Yeah, like not the flight simulators, but like the Star Wars flight game. Like you were,
it was okay. It was
Squadrons.
I didn't like Squadrons as much. I liked playing.
You have to play Squadrons in VR.
You can't. There is like a first-person view, basically, where you're in the cockpit. I didn't like that one as much. You can play it in VR, and supposedly it's pretty good, but it would give me motion sickness. I liked playing Battlefront, the fighter. It's essentially the same. It essentially became the same. But I played a lot of
that.
A lot of the ship dogfighting PvP in Battlefront 2.
Which is why you need to play Skull and Bones.
I was much better at the ship one than I was at regular
Battlefront.
Battlefront.
Back to Andrew.
Yeah, so that's where I like played most of my personal Assassin's Creed experience, and I honestly, Black Flag was fun, but I did not follow much with the series, and I think that's kind of where it went from being not that they were setting trends or experimenting.
No, they started chasing trends.
Right. That's where it switched to clearly they started chasing.
Black Flag was their last real
pioneering. Post-Black. Yeah.
Pioneering in terms of gameplay.
Yeah, post-Black Flag, they just started to chase
privateering gameplay. Thank you.
But so after Black Flag, Period 1 only has 3 more games.
Can I just, last thing about Black Flag, though, that, again, it's wild.
That L sounded a little silent there, too, but no one freaked out.
No, I heard that clear as day.
Stop trying to, you know, absolve yourself. Live in it, accept it.
Well, I've accepted it. I'm getting this podcast canceled.
A game that came out like 12 or 11 years earlier than Skull and Bones could still be miles better in terms of mechanics and combat. The fact that in Skull and Bones you can't fight physically like shit, like do like shipboarding actions is just absolutely wild. That
they partnered with Malaysia to make Skull and Bones, right?
That they regressed.
Yeah.
Do you think Malaysia was like, no, we can't have boarding because that's too close to home to our own nation history?
I mean, no, I don't think so. Maybe
you didn't watch the Pirates of the Caribbean movies then.
Maybe if they were talking about, maybe if they were making this like a Ubisoft Somalia, maybe.
Yeah.
So after Black Flag, there's 3.
Now you're overpronouncing.
Yeah, I like the enunciate clearly.
Yeah. Only 3 more.
People who annoy you.
Only. Great episode. Only 3 more installments: Rogue, Unity, and Syndicate. I have played none of those.
I feel like that's incorrect.
No, he's correct.
It's right.
Well, I'm going to bring up the only game that I've played in the entire franchise.
That's not a mainline game. You and I had this discussion. The PS Vita, the PSP and PS Vita games are spin-offs.
All spin-offs.
Well, it still counts in my heart.
There are a lot of spin-offs.
It's a lot of spin-offs.
It falls under the umbrella, but it is not part of, a mainline.
Yeah, it's not
one
of the
main
main
recognize me on the council, but you don't give me the title of master.
This is outrageous. Unfair.
I'm gonna go sleep with Padme.
But yeah, so all 3, none of those I've played. I don't know if anyone's played. Which one?
I went back for this podcast and played Unity because, like I said, that was until Mirage came out, which was supposedly the return to
form,
to kind of like original gameplay mechanics. So I wanted to give that a shot. And I ended up being more positive than negative. I don't think it was a very good game. I still think it was good enough and enjoyed my time. We can talk about that later. But I stopped playing the series at Unity. I bought Unity on it was a
PS3 game.
PS4.
No, it was PS4, or at least that's what it says. I don't know if it was originally cross gen or
I don't believe.
I was looking at something and I remember looking back and maybe it was.
Well, you do your history digging.
One of them, there was some crossover or one got ported eventually from PS3 to PS4. Maybe that was Rogue. I don't know.
Yeah, it's Rogue.
I never played Rogue.
Because Unity and Rogue are connected.
They came out, they were released on the same day, which is a wild marketing thing for them.
And Rogue came out on PS3. But Unity was only Windows, Xbox One, PS4, and Stadia.
Your pronunciation today is just going to make me travel to New York and do a hate crime to you.
And it would be a hate crime in New York because we respect Italians here.
You would just be a statistic after the amount of Knicks fans who killed themselves last night.
But so Unity was the last one I had bought and played, but it was the first game in their franchise history that was absolutely broken on launch. It was it's one of our now kind of cultural touchstones on games starting to ship in unfinished states.
Ubisoft was just pioneering everything.
Yeah.
Long development times, broken games.
They're just the protogenitors of
repetitive open world checklist formulas, yes. So that was one where I think I had the bug where
virus?
I had the bug where Arno's head disappeared.
I vaguely remember that.
And just like couldn't progress quests or something like that because like I couldn't like talk to anybody or like something like that happened. And so it was like, and there had been so many other, but like I had a game breaking bug and I'm like, I'm not restarting this, like fuck off. And so I'd never finished it, put it down, never went back to the franchise until Mirage, which was what, last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, 2023.
2 years ago.
So I went back though, and I played Unity on PC earlier this year. Playable in pretty decent state, but still pretty buggy in places. Minor visual bugs and stuff like that, but nothing crazy. But still not perfect.
Assassin's Creed, notorious, at least in period 2, from the ones that I've been playing, you constantly get, not constantly, but pretty regularly get a glitch in your robes where like
I remember someone explained that to me, or I read an explainer of that when Mirage released. It's when cameras switch and stuff and camera perspectives switch, yeah, clothing will in the attempt to have realistic clothing physics, they just spaz out for a second.
Yeah. And it'll just like be, completely the tail of your robes will just be standing up until like it refreshes.
Shots.
Yeah.
And so I played Unity, and everybody claims that like Unity is like the last good core Assassin's Creed gameplay, and I honestly thought it was pretty dog shit playing it.
I mean, how could they say it's the last? Like, it's the last in this first period of like before they go to complete open world.
It's
like
just the fact that like
it is the last.
They have the so-called black box missions where you are. That was one of my biggest complaints. Actually, was like how the narrative was structured together. There was no sense of pace or time, as like you're literally just you finish a chapter in a mission and it's like you have no idea how much time has passed, and you're just dropped into I've got my next target. You can then approach it in all these different ways, and that's what people miss from this era of Assassin's Creed games, is that it's linear, railroaded. There's only one way to complete a mission. You can bribe somebody, steal a key, find a hidden entrance, do this and this and this, use social stealth, do all these different things. And so that was cool, that was fun. But like gameplay was just like, in terms of like actual combat, was just pretty boring, but somehow not as boring as Syndicate. So I played through of Unity and did it in like 14, 16 hours. And it was okay. I think I in my notes, I think I gave it like a 6 out of 10 or something. And then I tried to play Syndicate like a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure it opens up, and I'm sure there's more stuff that's added to it. I couldn't make it. I did the first, because you play as Joseph and Evie Fry, these two twins, and it was their first attempt at doing dual protagonists. And you basically go from one chapter to the next of one or the other. And so I did like the opening missions for each of them. But I put it down afterwards. I'm like, I'm tired, Grandpa. I can't do this anymore. It's literally, the stealth is boring, just takes time. Combat is literally just mashing square, and you hit the occasional parry button when the flash indicates. And that's it. It is the most boring combat I had ever played. And I'm just like, I'm not doing this. Even for if it's only going to be 15 hours, I'm not going to do it. I'm sure there's probably more stuff that opens up that makes that a little more, gives a little bit more variety. But it was just interminable. And people are there are apologists or defenders who say Syndicate is better than people think and is worth going back to and checking out. And it looks better than Unity. Obviously, it's more current.
It's only a year apart. Yeah, Syndicate 2015.
Yeah. But like that is the same era as The Witcher 3, and to see like the gulf between games like that is just like,
well, so
gross.
On that point, we'll move to period 2, which to me has obvious Witcher 3.
So you this is your soapbox. Yeah. You're the only one who has played any of this era of the series.
So we turn to the open world of period 2 other than Mirage. So we have a complete revamp of the series come 2017, Assassin's Creed Origins. So instead of following from, Assassin's Creed, the first one starts in like it's with the Crusades, and then, Syndicate is what, 8?
It's Victorian England.
Yeah. So around that, 17, 1800s.
No, it apparently eventually gets to World War One. So it's late 1800s.
So we're put back in time. We're not dealing with the Templars anymore. Whatever they're coded as once you get to Syndicate. We're dealing directly with the ancients, which Ben mentioned talking about the first Assassin's Creed. So now we're going back in time. We're in BC, baby. We're in Egypt, some of like the proto kind of assassins, and you're never playing as someone that is like tied to the organization or like deeply embedded in it. You don't have other assassins around you. You're kind of like just on your own.
The name Origins obviously is the thing. It's about then before they become the Brotherhood, they're called like the Hidden Ones.
Yes.
And it's about the formation, them coming together and forming the Hidden Ones.
Essentially. And like I said, you're on your own for most of this. And again, open world. I have not completed any of these games because they're open world. There's so much that you could possibly do. You could play them for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on end. There's so many DLCs, expansions, this, that, the other thing. But like overall, they weren't terrible games. They're not very stealthy. You could, put more stealth in it if you want to, kind of choose your own adventure in that way. But
there's nothing stealthier than a Viking.
Yeah. Well, so to Ben's point, like
they rape and pillage, but very quietly.
Yeah. Well, and I'll get to that. So I'm still in Origins and Odyssey. Origins and Odyssey are very similar. They're just like essentially a reskin from Egypt to Greece with some better graphics. And you're a god in Odyssey. You're the son of Neptune.
So I've played some of Origins. I never beat it. I probably put it like 15 hours in.
Well, you'd be lucky to see the end of the fucking prologue.
Yeah.
I got like a quarter way through the main quest. There's like 4 main people you have to assassinate. I think it's 4 or 5. I assassinated like 1 or 2. Oh, okay. So sure. I had like 2 done of those 8.
Still a quarter, yeah.
Yeah, so roughly a quarter. This game really annoyed me. I really dislike the RPG elements they've mixed in, and I really dislike how laborious they make the combat feel, and you don't really get like this power fantasy of being an assassin. Like to me, I know it can get a little bit boring, Ben, you're saying like just pressing square, etc. But part of what makes it fun to play an assassin is this power fantasy of like, I'm sneaking around and then you're just dead and you're gone. And like
no, that's different. I'm talking about the tedium of open combat.
Okay.
You're just mashing square.
Understood.
No strategy, no timing, nothing. You're just mashing square and then you hit the parry when the light flashes.
Almost all of Assassin's Creed, especially probably Revelations on is.
I don't know. The early games were much cooler because
that's why I said Revelations on,
because you could choose which weapon you're. Even in like the Ezio games, like you could choose, like I'm gonna use a sword or I'm gonna use my hidden blades, and like you would get these cool different animations and attack patterns based off of which of your toolkit you're using. So there was so much more variety there.
But I mean, they completely gut the games of any sort of like nuanced gameplay. Like Ben, you talk about the social aspects of like the social stealth. Like that's nowhere to be found in Origins, Odyssey, or Valhalla. There are certain quests where you have options of how you could complete them if you want to just like blast through it and fucking, kill everyone, or you want to, infiltrate a different way. You want to stealthily find a hidden entrance. There are some of those still existing in there, just not to the same extent. And the open world RPG-ness of it just overtakes any effort there is to put that in the game. The RPG is a huge difference in these games, and part of the reason why you could dump so many hours into it. There's so many different weapons, upgrades, articles of clothing. It's down to the bracer that you could change. You could upgrade those. There's just so much like quality of life things that you could do, like looting to just upgrade your weapons, and a lot of that is what I say is kind of like the Witcher influence. Like they tried to put some Witcher RPG into Assassin's Creed, and it doesn't work. It gets better in Odyssey. I have to say, of the three, I'm putting, even though Mirage is in period 2, I'm going to put it aside for a minute. Of the three, Origins, Odyssey, Valhalla, Odyssey definitely is the best and has like some of the closest elements to original Assassin's Creed, and like does The Witcher kind of well. Valhalla, trash. They complete the, to Matt's point, you're a Viking, they completely get rid of stealth. There's like no stealth that could happen. You can't even, there's the possibility of stealth in there, but you really can't execute.
Is there an
it
entire
in that
mechanic
way
in that game based around blowing your like war horn to
Yeah,
summon
no,
your?
there's a raiding mechanic where you literally raid camps. You pull up on your little Viking boat with the blowhorn, like all your homies fucking descend on it, and you just, and you could like, this is kind of where they brought back some of the brotherhood part, because you're a little bit later in history, and like you are Vikings, like you have a community. You're not just like this lone vigilante, and so like you can similar to like the NPCs, assassins in the earlier games, like you could, for the purposes of raiding, like build up and like upgrade certain NPC characters that have different uh, skills and stuff that coincide with them, to like higher loot percentage or whatever, like easier whatever kills, blah blah blah. But again, no stealth whatsoever. Just completely, it's just a Viking open world game is what Valhalla is. There's nothing Assassin Creed to it. Whereas at least Origins and Odyssey kind of had some of the, they had bits and pieces. You're really dealing with the ancient ones. You're kind of getting that background lore. Valhalla, to me, kind of pulls it out. You're not getting that. To me, it sucked. I did not enjoy Valhalla. I didn't put as much time into that. Odyssey, I have like 121 hours or some shit like that. Not even close to finishing the game because of like all the DLC side quests, fucking like, help Neptune find such and such, yada yada. But then we get to Mirage. And so Mirage, and the reason I say I put it aside in period 2 is because they try to go back to that original stealth, stealth mechanics. They introduced the social aspects of it. It is an open world, but it's more contained.
Did they keep the build crafting shit where like everything has its own stats? Because that's what I found so frustrating.
So it was another point to
the only
to
thing you
back.
get are your assassin tool, your stealth tools that you can upgrade to be more effective, have slightly different uses. Like you can have like a smoke bomb or a trank bomb or
and
a poison dart or a sleep dart.
You could upgrade your weapons, but there's only like 3 weapon upgrades. There's not as many weapons in the game as as like Odyssey has so fucking many.
You have like a armor set and a weapon that just like they're all like swords or whatever, but it's just they just have like different like passives. Basically, they just have different effects, and then so you pick one you like and you upgrade it.
And then you have an outfit instead of having individual gear pieces, and that outfit has a passive stat or whatever buff to it. But then you could change your costume.
Yeah, it's got transmog. It
has transmog. And you could do that with the swords and stuff too. But complete departure from the other 3 in period 2, where fucking everything, there's so many. Part of the game is just collecting the the armor pieces.
Right. That's what turned me off so much from Origins, that I didn't pick up any of the others, because it's so much time spent build crafting and just looking at. I'm not playing Assassin's Creed to look and compare number stats on this sword versus this sword. Like that's not the purpose of these games.
The fact that I can't,
look
the fact that like assassinations are not automatic will always piss me off. The fact that assassinations are level gated in this current era of games pisses me the fuck off.
Not in Mirage though. Or did I not get the
Correct.
point?
No, correct, because it's back to original gameplay.
Yeah, no, that was a terrible part of Origins too.
The RPGs one, it's returned in Shadows, but they do have a setting that you can turn it off, or that you can turn auto assassinations on. But like, it's so frustrating. You stab a guy in the neck, and it only just like removes part of his health.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
and then he just fights you.
I just cut your jugular, and you're still, trying to beat me to death. Like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really angers me.
Can we just like get people's opinion? Assassin's Creed is the bloat that is inherent to this modern era of the series, is emblematic of the trend in AAA gaming. You can't say Ubisoft is like, the progenitor of, or the only culprit. That this bloat, this this added this focus on ballooning playtime. Why do they do it? How does it become cost effective with how much time and effort must go into production of it? Why are they so obsessed with quote unquote player retention in games that don't have, although
Ubisoft Plus.
All say modern. Oh, okay, that's a good one.
Yeah,
say modern.
It's to push engagement
games
on.
Do still have microtransactions, but so it's like in single player games.
Yeah.
Why do they?
There's so many DLCs
to boost engagement on their streaming service.
Well, it's not like that many people. It's not like that many people play
on the stream.
I'm sure that's a consideration.
Yeah,
but that can't be the defining one. And again, it's emblematic of a larger trend. So Ubisoft is one example. So you can't say, "Oh, it's Ubisoft Plus" is the reason, because that's obviously not why the industry does it.
And I want to point out that that's the whole RPG bloat, fucking upgrade your gear, find all the gear sets, have the gear sets match so that you get the best passive buffs. That to me is all Witcher 3 stuff, because that's in The Witcher 3. But The Witcher 3 could carry that through with its story, and like
also its build crafting is miles better.
Correct. Exactly. They're trying to, and in Origins is their first start of that. It's the worst of, maybe second worst, because Valhalla sucks. But so Origins, they're starting that, trying to do that build craft RPG bloat. Be The Witcher. Odyssey is the closest that they come to it, and it's doo-doo comparatively. Valhalla, they try to tone it back a little bit because of the backlash, and that makes it even worse than
Valhalla
Origin.
is like their longest game in the series. If you're going to try to 100% that game, you're looking at 200 plus hours.
Yeah. But because they add in other stuff to bloat, but they dial back the build, like the specific build craft. It's like, not.
I don't understand why in a single player game they would want to have somebody playing it for that long. You would think that they would want people to then move on and buy the next Ubisoft game, whether it's in that franchise or not.
But part of it is,
why is player retention that important in a single player?
Connect and like all the DLCs that they released for these games, which each of them have like 3 DLCs, or at least Origins and Odyssey have like 3.
But that's a different story, because if they're paid, then that's more money. That is more money coming in.
But hold on,
base game.
I'm talking about base game bloat.
Then there's the microtransactions, but it's not the base. Like the bloat is because of the DLC. Like there is bloat initially, but then all the rest of it and what is keeping people there is they kept putting out these DLCs. And then your play in the DLC, or like the gear that you got in Odyssey, allows you to get special gear in Valhalla. Because you could have like some of the Odyssey gear that, because you played Odyssey and you got to a certain point or you unlocked a certain armor, you get the Valhalla version of it through Ubisoft Connect that
But
you could download.
my
and
whole
then
the
use.
only justification I have in terms of as an industry trend of why player retention is a figure that single player developers are concerned with is that it's part of trying to sell the or it's the I had the phrase. It's the value proposition. It's supposed to be like, I'm charging you 60, 70, or now $80+ but it's worth it because you can play it for so long.
Yeah, that's part of it as well, for sure.
That's the only reason why I can understand why player retention is important in a single player game. For a single player game, if they play it and have played it so long that they can't return it, they shouldn't care at that point how much longer they play it. They've made their money. So it's just, again, it seems more cost effective and more efficient for smaller games, right? Lower production costs.
Yeah, but
less time spent.
Hasn't there been a trend going back to that?
We're just starting to see it.
That's what I'm saying.
But it's not, the industry is still fighting against that. That's why games like Expedition 33 are taking the industry by storm and you're seeing so many pieces being like, games are going to be better because they're shorter type of thing. Like, the industry itself still hasn't, I'd say consumers.
I mean, it's not necessarily because you still have things like Baldur's Gate 3, which is as long as you want it to be, but has sold by far more than something like Expedition 33.
Right. No, I understand, but like that, but that's not
a few years ago.
But that's not bloat. There's a slight distinction there. It's a fair point to make, I think, but it's like why it's I think important to talk about in terms of Ubisoft. It's like they'll do the games
so that you can jump to their next game. Well, the thing is, their next game isn't coming out right away. They're spreading out their launches, which means the longer you're sticking in their game.
Yeah, Ubisoft isn't doing that. EA isn't doing that.
Yeah, for your Baldur's Gate
what example that's released in the last 5 years?
2 Assassin's Creed games and Black Flag.
Assassin's Creed, Skull and Bones,
three Assassin's.
Sorry, Skull and
Just
Bones.
Dance, Mario plus Rabbids. They've got more than
Mario plus Rabbids is a Nintendo game. So if you're playing Assassin's Creed, you're not playing it on a Switch.
You can play some of the Assassin's Creed games on the Switch. You can play the Ezio collection on Switch.
Yeah, but you're not playing Odyssey, Origins, you're talking about, which are the bloated games.
So how much, part of me thinks some of this is driven by the success of Grand Theft Auto and how they've modeled their success and what those games were, which has always been like these kind of, especially starting with 4.
Forever games, even before online became a thing.
Right. They were
player retention in online and monetized games makes sense. You want people to retain them to get more money.
Connection with Odyssey or Shadows, whatever they were calling the initiative originally, with the AC Infinity.
Yeah. It was like their kind of metaverse type thing, which is now just become a launcher. It's just a game launcher. That's all it is. We thought we had killed game launchers, but no, they're like we gotta salvage it somehow. Now just you launch all Ubisoft games or all Assassin's Creed games from the same place.
I just think that's a part of it.
Say that again.
Me or Andrew?
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
I didn't hear it.
I was saying that AC Shadows is pure online. If you look at
it, there is no offline mode. You can't play it offline. I have no knowledge of it. I've looked very little.
When you look into how AC Shadows works, you need an online connection for the trophy progression to work properly.
You need that for every modern Assassin's Creed game. Yes, you do, buddy. Mirage, you do.
No, because
dude, I had to log into Ubisoft Connect in order to play Unity. In order to play Unity on my PC.
And when your internet comes back, you pop trophies. In AC Shadows, if your internet is not connected and you play the game and you reconnect, it will not pop the trophy. It does not track your progression that way.
But you cannot even play AC Shadows. You won't even be able to launch the game, or even Mirage, without having Ubisoft Connect. I could not get past the Ubisoft Connect login. I needed to have my internet access on. I could not bypass Ubisoft Connect in order to play Mirage. I had to log into Ubisoft Connect.
Same with Unity on PC. I had to back out, make sure. And what was so frustrating is it would log me out of
because they're releasing games on Steam again.
And you still have to log in.
Again, I played Unity. I played Unity.
But what I'm
Steam,
referencing is
and I still had to...
Odyssey, Origins, Valhalla were not on Steam. They were released specifically through their Ubisoft store.
And I played Origins through Steam, and I had to log in through Ubisoft Connect. You have to they route you through Ubisoft Connect. You're not playing.
So there's your answer right there. Is that they're harvesting your data?
Yeah, that's part of it then.
Yeah, that's always part of it. I mean, that's a given at this point. Is just like everyone's harvesting data. That's an afterthought. Like that. That's not the reason why they're going to do something. I think if anything, it's just the brand power. Like,
Ubisoft's brand power in 2025 is so strong.
No, the Assassin's Creed IP.
Remember, we've talked about this with the spinoff in the corporation, right? That Assassin's Creed as a property is worth more than Ubisoft is.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so that's why they want people in the games, is the strength of the IP.
I think
auxiliary sales of other things. They're not making fucking
and again, I still think a lot of it is just taking the wrong lesson and being like, oh, these other games are successful because they have so much content and take so long to finish.
I mean, that's just not real.
Right, but that's part of it in general, and that's part of the
They did the same thing with Immortals Phoenix Rising, just aping Breath of the Wild.
That's one of my favorite tidbits about Matt is just how much he hates Immortals Phoenix Rising, which like a lot of people will say is like a decent game. It's like pretty good.
They have dog shit taste.
Yeah, but see, Matt loathes that game, and I love every time he hates on it. I've never played it. I have no horse in that race, but it's just, I love how mad it makes him.
Bad humor, buggy, quest-breaking bugs.
I don't really, from what I've seen, I don't love the aesthetic of it either.
Yeah, because it's trying to be Breath of the Wild, but made by people who are soulless.
But it's like too cartoony, but like cheap looking.
Low budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ultimately think part of it is, or a good portion of it is like just strengthening the IP. And like, taking wrong lessons from other successful games and just wanting to keep the IP fucking
and they also don't want the headlines of this game's too short to be worth the money. And so they are way more willing to overshoot it.
That was the point that I was making, right? But I do think I can't forget that they do still monetize the hell out of these single-player games. They put the bloat in as a reason to get people to buy stuff. It's like, this here will sell you a level...
So you don't have to find the maps in the game.
We'll sell you
Immortals Phoenix Rising sells you all of your crafting materials, so you don't have to go collect
You could also buy crafting materials in Assassin's Creed. You can unlock all the maps, so you don't have to find the maps, and it just tells you where all the gear is. You could
imagine thinking you love a game, but then buying the stuff instead of going to do it.
Well, I mean,
I love it so much I want to pay them more. That is unironically what I've done with Clair Obscur, is that the game was cheap to begin with, and they are reselling the collector's edition with all the physical things, but I don't have to get a second copy of the game. And I'm like, I want to support the devs. I'll give them an extra $100 so I can get the cool little things and support them for making
it. You Clair Obscur and you're viewed as a hero. I buy 7 Switch 2s and I'm viewed as a villain.
Or not. I buy all the skins in Marvel Rivals and they call me a gooner.
So to your point of like the microtransactions being there to support the bloat, and like what Matt said, like pay.
It's the other way around. The bloat is there to enforce the microtransactions.
But the point of you not want to do things so that you can go out and pay for it.
Pay to not do it.
It's to actively make the game worse to make you pay for it to make it better.
Exactly, but the point being, like, the things that you could buy are like the fetch quest things.
Yeah, it's the shit that doesn't take that they probably have an AI generating this shit already.
No. And it doesn't even like solve the it doesn't take away your gameplay that much, but it just takes away the monotony of like the fetch quest portion of it. So you're still you're still gonna stay and remain. Like, it doesn't take, it's not like it's taking 20 hours out of your gameplay. They're getting money from you and continuing to keep you in the game so that you potentially spend money.
Hopefully spend more and more and more. Yeah, it's a snowball effect.
Correct. and you could buy a lot of shit from Ubisoft.
I forget that because I ignore it. Like, they even had that in Unity, or they still have it in now. Whereas there is like an upgrading system to some of your ability. Like, you can get some gear that you can then upgrade, but then there's like a way to, like, it's basically they make it all animus themed type of thing. You can hack the gear, but you need to have this specific type of currency that you can earn very, very, very slowly in game. Or here, let's go to the store and you can buy a whole bunch of it
with USD.
I mean, they always set it up, at least the only modern Ubisoft game I've played.
I forget all that shit because I just put it out of my brain. I'm like, nope, that's might as well not be real.
I have a disease, and I've been really good about not hitting purchase. I've been really good. I've not spent any money on Mirage. I've wanted to for the shiny skins, but I've controlled myself.
Matt,
your computer/consoles need to have parental controls engaged.
Oh, I'm doing better. Trust.
But what I was going to say was Immortals Phoenix Rising, when you open the launch menu, half of the launch menu is connection to the store to go buy the 5 new items that are promoted for that day.
Same in Assassin's Creed, 100%. If all the period 2 games, the main menus like save, load, new game, blah, blah, blah. And then on the right-hand side is all the new fun things in the store.
I just remember the meme of if Ubisoft had made Elden Ring and what the UI would look like.
Oh my God, yes. I'm going to pull that image up.
Man,
I think I might make that the show art image on the thumbnail.
They wouldn't even have the soul to make Night Rain. Night Rain requires very little soul to create.
Of course. I mean, listen, another one of our favorite things, murdered by extractive.
Press X to activate Tarnished Sense. Message of the day.
Do you think they're going to make an Assassin's Creed roguelike?
I mean, all Assassin's Creed, you could do permadeath.
Yeah, but roguelike would entitle like procedural generation.
Yeah.
Random.
I know it's not exact, but like you could.
I'm just saying
I didn't know
because
that.
the way they copy everything, that they're going to see Night Rain. They're going to be like, oh, we can make a live service version of one of our Assassin's Creed games. Everyone loved AC Shadows and definitely didn't post about how much they disliked the game a week after it launched.
I mean, they tried to make a live service. They tried making Infinity.
I
tried to play AC Shadows, and then I played the better version of it in Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah. I'm proud of us that we didn't just make this a Ghost of Tsushima podcast instead.
Yeah, it just went off the rails other ways.
In other ways.
Yeah. Ghost of Tsushima is the best version of modern Assassin's Creed.
No, absolutely. But we got to the end goal here, which is, once again, extractive policy that is looking just to make a buck ruins art. And that's why Assassin's Creed sucks now, as we just determined. They just want you to buy.
I have a question to cap us off.
You say that
here.
until I make my AI gooning game and make billions.
I have one final question to pose to the group, and then Mike, you can take us home. I don't know if you all remember the Assassin's Code by heart or whatever. How do you? I remember part of it, but not all of it.
I remember the Boy Scout code.
Again,
I don't
do it to yourself. You're asking for help.
I also remember the Green Lantern code.
That's hilarious.
Through brightest day and darkest night, no evil shall escape my light.
Doesn't it escape my sight, actually?
Might be. Yeah, because the second one ends in light. They wouldn't rhyme light twice.
Okay, so it's there's a whole bunch to the creed, but the one that really sticks out to me is the maxim part of it. So it's the nothing is true, everything is permitted thing. How does that code them politically? Let's think of where on the politics quadrant does the Brotherhood fall and the Templars?
Yeah, 100%.
You're looking at the 2D chart. You have to flip it on an axis, add a fourth dimension, and they're sliding through the fourth scale.
I mean, the Templars are obviously fascists.
They're both libertarians, but they are, one is right libertarian, the other is left libertarian.
They're all about fascists, but there's individual definitely people power who play through the game thinking that the Templars are leftists, pure, and that they're killing leftism.
But like that the Templars are obviously proto-capitalists. We see that obviously, like they literally become a corporation.
Yeah,
Abstergo is a corporation. Well, actually, so they're not actually libertarians. They're monarchists, is what they are. They are all about individual supreme power, whereas the Brotherhood are, I don't actually even know that they're left libertarian. I think that they are very at the best, I think they're center libertarian. They're like kind of right on the line of libertarianism.
I mean, we know that some of their founding members were Greeks, and what do the Greeks like to do with little boys?
Diddle boys?
Yeah, say have gay sex.
I think that means they're right.
No, but I think not monarchist, but that's why I said fascist, because it isn't like I guess because they're descendant from like alien deities. I guess it technically is monarchist.
Not all the Templars are. It varies. All people have some level of the precursor DNA in them. Plenty of assassins do, and some
I understand
of the
that,
Templars do.
I was trying to the like lineage of like monarchy having like a lineage to it, as opposed to fascism just being supreme power by whoever is most powerful.
I've always felt like that the Maxim type thing is very early 2000s coded, in its construction. It is radical individualism.
Yes, yeah, 100%.
There's another portion of it, of like one of the codes, and I remember it from Mirage, because you see, I think that's like one of the only times you see like the initiation ceremony, like fully. But it's like, from the darkness you become the light, and from the light return to the dark, for like their stealthiness and like being hidden ones. And I think that's kind of that vigilante, early 2000s kind of like right-wing chud individualism kind of shining through there as well.
Yeah, it's very I am the wolf protecting the sheep coded type
So it kind of comes full circle, right? Like we were like looking at the weird political valences of the original and when it came out, and it's able to get away with things that would have pissed off a lot of people in that era by maintaining.
Yeah, and it's kind of perfect, especially for that era, but just for Americans in general, of like our internal contradictions, or like constant contradictions of within politics, of like, we'll turn our eye to something, to rationalize it with something else. So like turn the eye to the Islam portion of it, be like, oh, we're vigilantes.
And that goes to within the creed, there are the three ironies. The assassins seek to promote peace but commit murder. The assassins seek to open the minds of men but require obedience to rules. The assassins seek to reveal the danger of blind faith yet practice it themselves. So it's that they are defined by their contradictions. Truly Americans, if there ever were.
And you know what? A step better than the Jedi, because at least they recognize their contradictions, whereas the Jedi are completely blind to them. That was another thought I had during the ceremony.
All right, Mike. Any other final points you want us to think about? The games suck now. I'll say it.
Yeah, they do. It really sucks.
I'll go one step further. The games have always sucked.
Nope, bad. Get out of here. No, not true.
Nope, absolutely true.
No, get the fuck out of here. But they have definitely turned into a pay no mind type of.
Sadly.
Nope.
Yeah, they're just a Call of Duty.
If you try to play them for the first time with modern eyes, they do not hold up.
I mean, because they're old games at this point.
Yeah, but old games can hold up.
Sometimes.
Don't ask me that. Don't ask me my opinion on that take, because
say Andrew refuses to play a game older than 2 years ago.
Yeah,
from whatever point in time he exists,
Pretty much. There's some leeway, but yeah.
That's all I got.
Some genres are much more easily done than others by their age. All right, Mike, thank you for leading this episode. As chaotic as it was fun.
It was good. Yeah.
Let's see, next week, let me bring up the calendar.
Next week.
I think we've got 2 off weeks this month. I don't know that we'll get a video out. I'll maybe hope to get a video out. I don't know that it will be the Switch 2 video. That might have to wait till the second week. Because we can do a Night Rain thing. Because, let's plan to do that. Because I'm fairly certain there's a more than likely chance that I won't have my Switch 2 in hand by the time that we would need to record it to get it out a week from now. But I will have it by the next time, because I mean, Matt got his through Walmart. That's going to be able to, is going to show up hopefully day of. Mine is like saying ship by day of release. So
mine is supposed to show up by 9 a.m.
My controller will get here because I got my Pro controller from Walmart, but I'll have the controller before the console.
Did you take Thursday and Friday off, Matt?
Love the commitment to the game, literally.
I was looking at the company calendar and I was like, huh. So I'm off Thursday, Friday. The QA tech is off Thursday, Friday. No, he did it for the same reason. That's weird. The HR lady's off Thursday, Friday. That's an odd, but you know, who knows there. I was just doing the math on the amount of people who were comboing Thursday, Friday off at the beginning of June for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
All right, folks. So
Random.
You can follow us on all the social medias, bar Twitter, to see clips from this show and other shows.
If you go to Fansly, you can see clips of my feet.
And for a premium, of course.
Yeah, if you want to see crushed up athlete feet.
Yeah, some people like that.
Matt will also squish watermelons between his thighs if you pay the right price.
That's not even difficult.
I know.
Pay the right price, you can watch me jump off my second story.
Well, that's a high price.
All right.
I want a cut of that.
You'll pay attention to the YouTube. That's it. All plugs done. All right, folks. Thanks so much. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.